everyone, and welcome to episode 47 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled, Not All Herbalists Are Witches. Now, some of you out there may be like, duh, that's obvious, right? Well, you would think so. You would absolutely think so. But no, that's not the case at all. I cannot tell you how many times I'm often thought of or told that I was a witch or I practice witchcraft. And so I thought today that because that's a conversation probably happening more often than not, then we need to have a conversation about it. Let's talk about it today. So I am going to come to you today talking to you about the differences between herbalists and witches, the philosophical differences, as well as give you a little bit of background information on both. One thing that is important to know is that not all herbalists are actual witches. And not all witches use herbs, okay? So you want to make sure that you are clear if you are going to an herbalist or if somebody is coming to you, that they understand your stance, what you believe, what are your practices, and those type of things. And that will help better foster the correct relationship if they do believe in that particular, philosophical view, then they can follow you in that way. If they don't, then they can go find someone who does. I think in today's society, what is annoying is that we want to put everyone in a box. There is no gray area. There is no, well, it's not that particular person. There is no individualism. It's just all, you say you do this. Oh, so I'm going to put you in a box because that way I can best understand you if I put you in that box. And I don't think that's fair. I don't like boxes. I don't like labels. I don't think that that is fair. So let's get into today's topic. Let's start out with an herbalist. What is an herbalist? An herbalist is a person who uses plants and plant-based substances for medicinal purposes to promote health and to treat illnesses. Now, what is a witch? A witch is a person who practices witchcraft, which involves the use of magical practices, spells, rituals, and deep connection with nature and spiritual forces. Witches may engage in activities such as casting spells, performing rituals, divination, and working with herbs and other natural elements to achieve their goals and bring about desired changes. All right? So what is the difference? The primary difference between an herbalist and a witch lies in the scope and focus of their practices, as well as the cultural and spiritual context in which they operate. Okay? So let's start individually. All right. Well, let's look at the herbalist. So an herbalist focus, they use plants medicinally. An herbalist primarily uses plants and herbs for their medicinal properties to promote health and to address specific imbalances in the body. While some herbalists may incorporate traditional knowledge, their practice often includes understanding the pharmacological aspects of plants and how they interact with the human body. Herbalists may have formal education in botany, pharmacology, or alternative medicine, and they may be certified or licensed depending on whichever region that they live in. Herbalists also prepare and recommend herbal remedies like teas, tinctures, salves, and supplements. All right. Now, from a cultural and spiritual context, when it comes to herbalists, their work is primarily health focused and does not necessarily involve spiritual or magical practices. Okay, we do recognize that we are a spirit, soul, and body, and all three have to be in alignment in order for health, right, and balance to occur. But we don't rely on magical practices to have that understanding. Okay, now let's look at, and that's an herbalist. Okay, to give you a little bit more description as far as that. Now let's look at a witch. Now, when I say witch, there are tons of different varieties of witches. Okay, but I'm just going to use this term general for right now, just to kind of help you understand where I'm coming from. Their focus is magical practices. So a witch engages in a variety of magical practices, which can include spell casting, rituals, divination, and working with natural energies. Witchcraft often involves a spiritual or religious dimension, such as honoring deities, spirits, or the natural world. Now, as far as training and practice, witches may learn their craft through self-study, mentorship, or participation in covens, and may incorporate a wide range of traditions and practices. They use herbs, crystals, symbols, and rituals to achieve magical or spiritual goals, such as healing, protection, or divination. From a cultural and spiritual context, okay, witches often blend practical medicinal uses of herbs with their magical and spiritual practices, seeing them as both interconnected. All right, so that is their characteristics of what they do. Now, is there an overlap? All right, a little. Many witches use herbs in their magical practices, and some herbalists may incorporate spiritual beliefs into their work. However, like I said before, not all herbalists practice witchcraft, and not all witches are focused on herbal medicine. Okay? The primary distinction lies in intent and practice. Herbalists tend to focus on the medicinal properties of the plants to improve health, and often we use scientific or traditional healing approaches, whereas witches may use herbs, but they also do so within a broader context or magical and spiritual practices. All right? Now, you've heard me say magic 15,000 times. You're like, what the world is magic? Again, you would think most people would know, but it's okay if you don't. Let's get into it. Magic, in a general sense, okay, refers to the practice of using rituals, symbols, actions, gestures, and language with the intention to harness and manipulate supernatural forces or energies to produce desired effects or outcomes that are beyond ordinary human capabilities. All right? The understanding and practice of magic vary widely across different cultures, traditions, as well as belief systems, but let me give you some key aspects and definitions of magic. Number one, intent and will. Magic often focuses one's intent and willpower to influence events or outcomes. The belief is that a practitioner's focused intention can direct and shape unseen energies. Another key aspect is rituals and symbols. So specific rituals and symbols are commonly used in magic to represent direct energies. These include chants, spells, incantations, and the use of symbolic objects like candles and herbs, crystals, and tools such as wands, or they have something, I think it's called a thamines. All right, I may be saying that wrong. Don't come for me, okay, because I don't use that. Another practice is belief in supernatural forces. So magic is also based on the belief that supernatural forces or energies can be manipulated. And this might include natural energies, spiritual beings, deities, or elemental forces. So there are, like I said before, there is a variety, many different types of magic. You have your high magic, which is like a ceremonial magic, which involves more elaborate rituals and is often more structured and formal. It could include invoking angels and deities and other spiritual forces. You have low magic, which is folk magic. You have white magic, you have black magic. So there's many different forms and types of magic. And so you want to make sure that you understand all of that before, you get involved with someone that believes in this type of ideology, and see if it kind of gels with what you're doing, or someone, do you believe in this? And if you don't, then you probably shouldn't be involving yourself with someone that subscribes to this particular ideology. All right. Now, magic, of course, has been practiced in various forms across different cultures and historical periods. So like the ancient Egyptians, they used magic. The medieval Europeans, they used witchcraft. In a lot of indigenous cultures, they believed in shamanism. Okay. And then in some other practices, they use Wicca. So it varies. Okay. It varies depending on the person that is using it, what they subscribe to. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about some examples of magical practices. Number one is spell casting. The act of performing a spell, which often involves reciting specific words, performing certain actions, and using symbolic objects to manifest a desired outcome. Divination, you heard me say that a few times. Divination is methods used to gain insight into the future or hidden aspects of life. Okay, we also say esoteric. Common forms of divination include tarot card reading, scurrying, astrology, and rune casting. All right. Healing rituals Using magic to promote physical, emotional, or spiritual healing, this can involve the use of herbs, crystals, energy work, and invoking healing deities or spirits. Another one is protection and magic. Okay, and these practices are aimed at protecting individuals or spaces from harm, often involving the creation of protective charms, amulets, or wards. Another form of magic is working with natural world and elemental forces such as earth, air, fire, water, and this is to harness their energies for various purposes. Okay, so that's kind of give you a little bit of idea about magic, witches and how that works. The perception that all herbalists are looked at as witches primarily stems from historical, cultural, and sometimes religious associations as well as misunderstandings. And so this is the reason why it's persisted. And this is the reason why it's persisted. So from a historical context, throughout history, herbal knowledge and healing practices were often intertwined with spiritual and religious beliefs. And in many cultures, especially medieval Europe and other parts of the world, herbalists were sometimes viewed suspiciously because they worked with plants, which are also associated with folk magic and folk medicine. Okay? Now, from a religious and cultural bias, in some religions and cultural contexts, any practice involving supernatural elements, okay, or non-traditional healing methods can be historically condemned, right, or even marginalized because they think, it doesn't line up with our principles. No matter which those religious principles are, it doesn't align with that. And then, of course, you have media and popular culture, right? This is what we're living in today, the social media era. But in literature, movies, stuff like that, herbalists and witches have often been portrayed interchangeably or depicted as even similar people. And that is not the case. Okay. And this portrayal reinforces the misconception that anyone that is using herbal medicine, okay, may also be engaging in magical or witchcraft related activities, especially for herbalists that are not of that particular belief, but you are using the same language as those that do believe in witchcraft or that is a witch and that type of stuff. So if that is not something you subscribe to, then you got to be careful, make sure you're not using their language. Because if you're using their language, you're talking their talk, people are like, oh, well, you must subscribe to that, right? Another reason why this misconception is often out there is because of lack of understanding. People really don't understand the differences between herbal medicine as a natural healing practice and then witchcraft as a spiritual or magical practice. They don't really understand it, so they kind of merge the two. And so this lack of understanding can lead to a huge generalizations, which are often inaccurate. And then tied with that is the fear of the unknown. Okay. So any type of practices that involve elements perceived as supernatural or outside mainstream medicine can provoke fear or suspicion, particularly in communities where such practices are unfamiliar or they're seen as a threat to your religious or your cultural norms. Okay. People may look at that and be like, this don't align with what we're talking about. So to me, this sounds like, it's something sketchy going on. Okay. So what I would do if I was a human being, okay, and I was looking for an herbalist or whatever in the community, and I know what my values are, I would talk to them, see what it is that they do, see what it is that they believe. I think this is very important. We spend a lot of time trying to, like I said before, to control other people, bend them, put them in our boxes, make them see it our way. And at the end of the day, if you two just don't agree philosophically, religiously, and in other ways, then you should not be working together. Because eventually somebody's going to have to bend, and 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be the herbalist. Especially if they really believe strongly in what they're doing. They are probably not going to bend. Now, me personally, okay, I'm going to give you my personal thing for anyone listening to me. And, what do you believe? How do you believe? I am a Bible believing woman of faith. Okay. And magic, divination, crystals, energy work, all of these things go against what I believe. Okay? They go against what I believe. So I'm going to take a moment really quickly, okay, and speak to my Bible believing, okay, herbalist, because I think that is important to talk to you all, because I know sometimes we get overshadowed and overpowered by those that do believe in something different. Okay. I'm not here to shoot anybody or put anybody on the cross. Okay. But I am here to stand boldly and talk about what I believe, because everybody else is so bold about what they believe. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come out the gate bold as a lion of Judah. Right. So that's what we're going to do right now. So believers of the Bible. Now, we are generally discouraged from practicing witchcraft, divination, and activities for several reasons. Okay. From a theological perspective, first of all, we believe in monotheism, meaning that there is one God, or one Yah, if you choose to say the Hebrew name. There is only one. Okay. And so engaging in practices like witchcraft and divination often involves seeking guidance or power from sources other than Yah, and is considered idolatrous, right, and contrary to the first commandment. And you can find that in Exodus 20:3-5. Okay. Now, we are also supposed to trust in the Most High and believe in him for guidance and provision, rather than seeking supernatural knowledge or power through magical practices. Okay. If you want a scripture reference on that, check out Proverbs 3 verses 5-6. Okay. Now, scriptures also prohibit us from participating in divination and sorcery, interpreting omens, consulting with mediums or spirits. So these activities are forbidden in our faith. Okay. Witchcraft, which is often translated as sorcery, is also listed among the works of the flesh, which are, contrasted with the fruits of the spirit. So we are not supposed to participate in these type of activities. Okay. So this is the reason why. Now, again, if you are someone that is looking for an herbalist, you want to make sure that they believe what you believe. Because if they do not believe what you believe, all right, then you're going to find yourself in conflict. So why deal with that person if you guys don't have or don't share similar beliefs? Okay. And if you are someone that does believe in, crystals and witchcraft and tarot cards and all these other things, then why would you find yourself going to an herbalist that believes in scriptures and the Bible and, not only relying on the Most High, but also using herbs specifically only for the healing of the nations, for the balancing of the body, right? Not worshiping the creation, but worshiping the creator. Why would you go to somebody like that? So we have to take some responsibility too, in terms of who we decide to go to, but we cannot lump all herbalists under the category of witches, because we are not. Okay. And you have to understand that. Now, if you get offended by what I said, it's okay. It happens. Okay. But I have to stand on what I believe in, and just like everyone else stands on what they believe in. And I don't want to be perceived as someone that practices witchcraft, or that is a witch, or that does, crystals and sage and, all of these other things, because I do not. And I'm not a bad person because I don't. And I'm not any less of an herbalist because I don't. Okay. I don't subscribe to that. I worship one person, not what he has created or given to us in order to help bring balance and restoration to the body. Okay. We don't do idolatry, none of that. Okay. So know the difference. I hope I've been able to give you some key points so that you can understand what the true difference is. That way, when you are out there looking for an herbalist or someone to work with, then you know what to specifically ask them, what to look for, what do they believe, what are their practices. This is very important. Okay. So let me just give you some tips. Let me give you 3, okay, to help you determine between someone who is maybe a Bible believing herbalist or an herbalist period and someone that is a witch or participates in witchcraft. So first thing, understand their beliefs and practices. Okay. So you want to ask, what are their spiritual beliefs? Okay. Are they involved in any type of spiritual practices that may conflict with what you believe in? And it's okay to ask these questions. Typically, people should not get offended. Okay, I'm not going to get offended if you ask me, do you believe in sorcery, or do you believe in contacting the ancestors or the mediums and all that? And I'll quickly tell you, no, I do not. But I'm also not going to argue either. I'm just going to tell you, this is what I do. This is what I believe. And if that's something that you want to listen to me, you want to learn from me, you want to share, I'm happy to do that. But I'm not going to say, yeah, go get this crystal, lay it on your forehead and do this with it. I'm not going to do that. So if that doesn't work for you, it's okay. Just find somebody that may do that. Okay. Another thing is, look at their approach to healing. Okay. What is their primary focus in herbal medicine? All right. Are they focusing on the medicinal properties of herbs and natural remedies? Okay, often this is paired with scientific understanding. And when I say that, I mean anatomy, physiology, chemistry, biochemistry, understanding how the body works on that level and understanding how the plant body works on that level so that you can merge them together to help bring about a state of balance. Okay, or are they specifically focusing only on traditional knowledge, and other mediums and things like that? Okay, so you need to know that. How do they view the role of faith in healing? All right. Because like I said before, we as herbalists, we are not the healers. We are the facilitators of that process. Okay. So if they say, no, only the herbs can do this, or only the crystals can do this, or only this amulet can do this, or only, some kind of other outside thing can do this, and that's where the healing actually comes from, and you don't subscribe to that, then guess what? That's not the herbalist for you. All right. And then number 3, seek recommendations and do your research. See if there are other people who believe like you believe. Have they worked with an herbalist before? Are they trusted? These type of things. Do they adhere to some form of ethical standards? Talk to people. Okay. You want to find the right people to talk to, so that you can determine whether or not this herbalist is somebody that you actually even want to work with. All right. You can ask them about their training, their background. Okay. Clarify their spiritual beliefs or practices or whatever they're doing. Because a lot of times, those words are hidden and they're vague. It's like spiritual. What does spiritual mean? What does that mean to you? What does that look like to you? There's nothing wrong with asking those questions. And if they get offended or whatever, you probably don't want to work with them anyway. Because at the core, we want to try to help people as best as we can. And if we truly believe what we believe, we should be able to explain it or defend it if need be without getting all up in arms. Because some people are asking because they genuinely don't know. And other people are asking just because they're trying to be smart, Alex, right? You can pick up that vibe. You can pick up that vibe really, really quick. Okay? So if you like what you heard, please like, share, subscribe, follow me on all of my social media platforms. I really hope that you got something, some tips today on the key differences between herbalists and witches. If you're somebody out there that the lines are blurred, hopefully I've been able to kind of give you some key differences and points to help you understand that. And trust me, if you're an herbalist that is not a witch or subscribe to any of those practices, I get it. It can be frustrating, but just hang in there and keep being who you are. Keep being that light. Keep, educating people, because education is really the biggest key. Bringing people out of a state of ignorance is very important. Don't be quick to get offended. If you are called as such, just let them know. No, I don't. I'm not that person. I don't subscribe to that. Don't assume that. And amongst other practitioners, don't just assume because somebody else does herbs that they are a witch or they subscribe to that. Or if somebody is a witch, don't just assume they're not. It really take the time to get to know somebody, talk to them, network with people. This is how you get to know people. And if, you just don't vibe, you just don't vibe. You just don't gel. It's okay. It happens. It happens in our field. But know the difference. Don't get frustrated about it. Just explain it and keep it moving, right? Shake the dust off your feet and keep it moving. Okay? Because we want to make sure that every interaction that we have with people, even if they come to us with a misunderstanding, we want to make sure that our interaction with them is pure and that we leave them in a better state than when we found them. Okay? So, and with that being said, family, have a great evening. Follow me again, like I said, on all social media platforms at The Demystified Herbalist. And until next time, family, I'm out.